So, about today, firstly, why are we here? Very much we do these things, as those of you have been around with us for a while, every term. And the main reasons we do these termly webinars is for us to update you on all the things that are going on with TeacherMatic, the developments that we've made over the last few months, and the new developments that are coming up. And we like to bring in some of our customers, and we've got a WorldSkills UK and one of our London colleges today presenting about the how they're using TeacherMatic. So that's partly why we're here. We also like to get feedback from yourselves as to things that we can do to improve TeacherMatic, things that you like about TeacherMatic. So do contribute in the chat. And the way that we want to engage with you is use the reactions that you get with Teams, use the chat, ask your questions, and we will respond to them in the chat. And you can, of course, email people as well. So the speakers, most of the speakers will be sharing their email details, and so you can send people email questions later on. The meeting is being recorded and transcribed, and you'll all get a link to watch the meeting back later on. And we know quite a lot of people sign up to these things who can't attend on the day, and so they can watch it later on as well. What's happening, and this is the agenda today, so I'm kicking things off, and then we've got Ollie, who will be giving some technical updates about what's going on in terms of the TeacherMatic platform, some really exciting new developments, quite a lot of them that Ollie will be sharing today. And then Richard, our lead generator architect, will be talking about a number of new generators that he's built using our co-development model, working with TeacherMatic customers for managers and senior leaders. Following on for that, Richard will also be talking with Colin and Omberghini from WorldSkills UK about one of the services that we offer at TeacherMatic, which is building bespoke generators for organisations. And Richard, Colin and Omberghini will be sharing some of information about a bespoke generator, or a couple of bespoke generators that we've been working with WorldSkills UK on. Following that, Wendy from Capital City College will be talking about how her college is using TeacherMatic, how they've implemented it, and the impact it's having there. And then a really exciting new development is that ESAM has been extremely busy the last few months building a new online training package for all people using TeacherMatic to learn all about getting the best use out of the generators and the platform, and also an implementation package to help you ensure you can implement and get the best use of TeacherMatic across the whole organisation. And finally, Reza will be talking about a new initiative that we've been doing over the last couple of months, running some regional TeacherMatic meetings in our customer organisations. And at the end, if any of you, we will sort of open up all the microphones, and if any of you want to have an informal chat with the TeacherMatic staff, we will be allowing that. Okay, so moving on then. Just a few bits of news and announcements. Platform development. So Richard and Ollie will be talking in depth about this, and I don't want to steal their thunder, but I just want to say that one of the key areas that we've been working on over the last few months is around roles. And in the same as that dogs are not just for Christmas, TeacherMatic is not just for teachers. And increasingly, again, using our co-development model where we listen to what you, our customers, want, we've been getting more and more requests for generators for non-teaching staff. And Richard has put this graph together, which kind of shows that nearly half of our generators now are available to, are not designed for teachers, but are designed for non-teaching staff. And so Richard will be talking about some of those, in particular those for managers and senior leaders shortly. And obviously one of the challenges this presents is that we've got an awful lot of generators, around 150 now, and to make it simpler for people to find the generators that suit individual people, we will be introducing a new roles-based functionality, so that you will select your particular role in the organisation and you will then just see those generators that are suitable for your role. And Ollie will be talking about that, and that's coming up in the next few months. So please share this information with your non-teaching colleagues, and in particular the senior leaders. The tools that Richard has built for senior leaders are absolutely outstanding. And there are tools out there where colleges are paying £10,000 plus for AI toolkits for senior leaders, and I believe that what we've built pretty much does everything these tools does, and it costs £30 per license. So if you've got a senior leadership team of 8 people, that's going to cost £240 rather than £10,000 plus. So make sure your senior leaders are aware of the toolkit that we are building. And if you want to purchase some extra licenses in the year, that's very straightforward. And so I just want to let you know that. Okay, moving on, some other news. You may be aware that TeacherMatic has been working over the last couple of years very closely with JISC. We did a JISC pilot for FE. We followed that up with a JISC pilot for HE. And we are about to start a JISC assessment, AI and assessment pilot. And if you scan that QR code, and I'm hoping one of my colleagues might be able to pop a link into the chat there for that, you can still apply for that. There's free funding for 50 licenses. This is available to current customers as well as new customers. So even if you're already using TeacherMatic, you can apply for this and get 50 additional free licenses. And the focus is on the TeacherMatic feedback tool, and it's a 6-month project where we'll be looking in detail at the impact of using the feedback tool, the tool that marks essays and assignments, gives grades, gives feedback, and looking at that. And you've got another week to get your application in for that. We also have the TeacherMatic survey, and if you could scan that, and I think a link should be appearing there, and if you could fill in this short survey, you will be eligible to win one of a number of prizes. Okay, and this brings me now excitingly to the TeacherMatic Awards. And we had our first TeacherMatic Awards last year, and we were delighted to open up this again this year. We've had an awful lot of applications, and it's amazing to see how many people have put in for this. And so not everyone can be winners, unfortunately, but the standard of applications was absolutely amazing, and it's really great for us to see the good practice that's going on with TeacherMatic out there amongst our users. So let's look at these awards and who's won. So firstly, the individual award, the individual bronze award, has been awarded to Richard Smith from South Staffordshire College. The individual silver award has been awarded to Ruth Cole from Yuzu Training and Kiwi Education. And to them, drum roll, I won't do the big brother pause because we haven't got enough time to do that, but the individual gold award has gone to Sarah Stella from South Staffordshire College. So big congratulations to all of those, and in particular to Sarah, who's doing some incredible work with TeacherMatic. Okay, so moving on to the organisational awards. The Bronze Organisational Award goes to Northern Ireland and Northern Regional College, so congratulations to Northern Regional College. The Silver Organisational Award goes to Yuzu Training and Kiwi Education. And the Gold Organisational Award goes to Stanmore College. So huge congratulations to all of those, and in particular to Stanmore College. And again, the standard of these was just absolutely superb, and for us to see what people is doing is amazing, and well done to all involved. Now, we've decided to create a new special award, the Dr. Geoff Elliott Outstanding Achievement in Educational AI Award, which is going to Ruth Cole and Yuzu Training and Kiwi Education. Now, Ruth, you and your organisation were second in both of those awards, and it was literally a cigarette paper between you and the winning awards. And we thought long and hard about this and felt that given that you got second place in both awards, we needed to mark that with a particular award for you and your organisation there. And in tribute to my colleague, Geoff, who is retiring shortly, we've decided to make a special award for yourselves there that is really well deserved. Okay, so congratulations to all involved there. Thank you for all the other people who do submit awards. The standards was outstanding, and there you go. So we are hugely pleased to see the amazing work that's going on. Okay, so I'm going to say thank you now and hand over to my colleague Ollie, who's going to talk about platform developments.
Thank you very much, Peter. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so hi everyone. As Peter said earlier, Richard's going to talk a little bit more about the generator development side of things, and I'll focus on the platform development side of things. So this really is a summary of kind of the key points or the highlights, according to me, since the last webinar, and an overview of imminent things that are going to be released, as well as kind of our focus for the rest of the year. So firstly, we've been keeping up with developments in LLM functionality that are available to us now. This includes most recently the ability to process a lot more data. So our token limits on several of our models have been increased considerably, and we've effectively passed that on to you guys as the users. And now we can both upload larger files, process more data in terms of uploads, as well as produce more as an output. So the days of 34-week scheme of works are upon us, I think. In terms of uploading files, it's important to note that it's hard to give you an exact word count. Everyone's always asking me about an exact word count, because it depends on all of the other things that we're doing with that interaction with the LLM. So we have quite an advanced function to calculate the limit, the number of tokens that we can use, and how many we think that that generation is going to use. But things are getting better, and we're testing new models at this moment in time, and assuming that we're happy with the results and we're getting good, consistent results with these new models, we'll have even bigger token limits in the imminent future. We've also, our parent company has done some extensive testing with ethical filtering. Hopefully one of my colleagues will post into the chat the blog post about this. It was some really interesting research where essentially we were testing various prompts against problematic responses to issues. So we've developed this kind of proprietary prompt that we pass, and it is proven to eliminate or reduce those problematic responses. So any of you as an organization admin can go into your organization settings tab and then control the severity of that filter. So you can either turn it off if it's not a huge concern, you can switch it to moderate, or you can switch it to strict. And we've just released some additional file types which are supported as well. So you'll start to see these becoming available in more and more generators. We're accepting subtitle files and PowerPoint presentations as well at the moment. So subtitle files could be useful for meeting transcripts, and PowerPoint presentations could be useful to summarize a lesson or generate some multiple choice questions. In this video, I'm generating some multiple choice questions based on the last community webinar PowerPoint that I did. Okay, and as Peter mentioned, it's becoming our strategy going forward in terms of navigation and making things easier to find in TeacherMatic is at least at a top level based on role. So Richard has restructured a lot of our help material. Again, hopefully one of my colleagues will post a link to the chat to be role focused. And we're going to replicate that on the TeacherMatic side as well. So this will be the first phase of a more radical restructuring of how you find generators in TeacherMatic. Initially, it will just be selecting a role and being presented with a filtered list of generators for that role. But then this will be expanded upon to essentially give you several steps to even further navigate TeacherMatic. So what's your role? And then what do you want to do? And hopefully that will, in just a couple of clicks, get you to exactly the 2 or 3 generators that you might want to use. Also imminent is allowing multiple refines. This has been, I can't even count the number of times I've been asked about this. So at this moment in time, most generators have the ability to refine the output once. And this is due to limitations in terms of calculating the number of tokens used and how close we are to token limits and that kind of thing. So we've devised a way of doing this, and as early as next week, you'll be able to refine several times. Again, in the same way, I can't define the number of the word count of a document you can upload because it will differ between generators. That will also be the case here. So we'll allow you to refine as many times as we possibly can, depending on limitations of the language model. I would suspect you will almost never see a situation where you're stopped from refining again. Okay, and then on to our kind of bigger priorities for the rest of the year. So moving on with the ease of navigation that I talked about earlier. So not only having the roles, but also having an additional level below that where you select what you're trying to do. And then importantly, we were looking earlier, and over the last quarter, the feedback generator is far and away our most popular generator. It's getting a lot of use. So, you know, increasing the functionality available in terms of marking is a big priority for us. And we'll continue to work on bulk uploading students' work as well as PDF annotations. Additionally, our second most popular generator is the PowerPoint presentation generator. That's also getting a lot of use. And we've got some roadmap items to improve that even further as well. So the refine functionality that I demoed at the last webinar is going to be extended a little bit further. We're going to have additional slide templates, additional types of content on slides, as well as additional kind of interactive elements. We've got a generate this from that, which is just how I'm describing it. I don't think that's what the feature is going to be called, but where you can take the result of one generator and then use that to produce something else. You know, here's my lesson plan, generate some multiple choice questions from this. We've also got scheduled generations coming up, as well as increased reporting for administrators. So we quite often get asked for additional, more detailed reporting in terms of what admin users can see on their dashboards. So we've prioritized that for this year as well. Okay, and that's me. Please feel free to put any questions in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Thanks very much, Ollie. And unusually, we are ahead of schedule today, which is great to say. So we'll just give it a minute if anybody wants to type any questions in for Ollie regarding what the developments on the platform, or if there's anything that you would like to see. And Richard, you're coming up next if you want to get yourselves ready to do yours. But we'll just give it a few more moments to see if there's any questions for Ollie. And apologies, you know, I'm very aware, and I'm getting some emails and WhatsApp messages that Teams has gone really sort of fascist on who it allows into the chat for reasons that I don't fully understand. And we're aware that quite a lot of you are not able to access the chat at the moment. This is the last time we're going to be doing these meetings on Teams, and we will be using Zoom probably for future meetings, which doesn't have this problem. So we will be able to engage with all of you. Okay, so thank you very much. Oh, there is a question there. Are you developing an AI plagiarism checker for submitted student work? Well, I've got something to say about that, and I'm sure Isam has as well. But Ollie, if you want to go first.
Sure. Actually, one of the people who can't currently participate in the chat is me. So in the past, it's helped when I've left and come back in. We can look into it again. But the last time we did a proper investigation into this, it was too unreliable to release to you guys as a product. Even the plagiarism checking tool provided by OpenAI, in terms of did our own models write the content that you're passing through, had a success rate of about 62.5% or something. So it would need to be considerably more reliable than that to kind of put it out there as a tool that you could use to determine if a student's plagiarized or not. Yeah,
and I would very much echo that. There's a lot of research out there on AI plagiarism detectors, and they're awful. You know, the miss rate is really poor. And what really concerns me about this, and I would be very strongly against doing this until this does change, is false positives. And these plagiarism detectors throw up lots of false positives, which means you'll end up accusing students of cheating when they haven't cheated. And imagine what that would do to, you know, that would destroy some people and have massive impact on well-being and things like that, when that's a big concern in colleges. So to me, the solution to this is it's all about how we assess that. You know, AI is out there now, students are going to be using it, and we've got to look at, you know, what's sometimes called authentic assessment, and ways of creating assignments and assessments that will not people can't cheat too much using AI with. And so I think that's we've just got to think the whole assessment model, the AI genie is very much out of the bottle. And clever students, there are tools now that students are very aware of to run their work through to make them undetectable through plagiarism and things. So it's just an arms race, and so it's almost certainly I can't see us doing this. We'll keep an eye on it, but I'm afraid that it's snake oil at the moment, and I would say that be careful of any organisations that's claiming that they've got a tool which will do it. I don't think the research supports it's possible. And yeah, I would agree with what Isam is saying there. Okay, well, we are wonderfully ahead of time, Richard. So if you want to talk for a little bit extra, or if you, which I know offering you that is asking for trouble.
Yeah.
So please do. You've got, you might want to fill out a few extra minutes into your next one as well. So I'll hand over to Richard, our lead AI architect, who's going to talk about some of the new generators that we've been building.
Thank you. Yeah, let's just go back on a couple of points. Plagiarism checking checking for the use of AI, which I think can get conflated, can get muddled at times. I entirely agree with what's been said. It's about these days how we set our assessment tasks, how we look at how we assess learning. 20 years ago, something like that, when I was teaching Cert Ed, but I happened also to be an online teaching and learning specialist, I wrote a plagiarism checking system, which was pretty good, and there are others around which work or worked then. I've tried them recently, and they have no chance at all. Detecting the use of AI, there are many AI tools out there, and as Peter said, there are many disguise AI tools out there. And after this, when I haven't got access to the chat myself either, I'm afraid, but I will pass to one of my colleagues who has a link to an excellent video about how difficult it is to spot AI that you might like to look at, but not until after the webinar, of course. Can I go back to two things Ollie talked about just briefly, in case they need any explanation? Ollie talked about multiple refines. I've been talking to, obviously I talk to a lot of our users and potential users, and many people aren't actually aware, because they don't get down to that stage, that at the bottom of many of the generators, especially those related to teaching, but many of the others as well, there is this option to refine. And basically what refine does is it takes the result that you've been given by the AI and says, okay, you say, okay, I'm fairly happy with that, but look, you keep mentioning this word green. I don't like green. Could you please make all the mentions of green blue instead, or whatever you want to do? Obviously, that's a stupid example, but you can simply take the result, but make changes to it. If, for example, in a lesson plan, there is reference to using a particular tool that you don't have in your college or school, then you can say, okay, everything's okay about lesson plan, but take the section about so-and-so out because we don't have that. So refine is in there at the moment in many of them. So if you haven't come across it, do have a look at the end of any result of any generator. Almost all generators, I think, will have it by the end of next week, but you'll be able to do this refining more than once. Until that is the case, you can already do multiple refines within the one box. So let's make this clear. If a lesson plan comes up and there are 3 things in there you love and 2 things you don't love, you can say, please take out the section about so-and-so, and please take out the section about so-and-so. And that will happen. You'll notice I used the word please there. You don't have to say please to the artificial intelligence engine, but it's quite nice if you do. The other thing that Ollie mentioned was tokens, and that might need a little bit of explanation just in case. Artificial intelligence engines don't, or the ones that we use don't actually say, right, you're only allowed a certain number of words or a certain size or a certain type of picture. And of course, we can upload pictures as well as words. What they say is, you have a certain amount of data that we will accept, and it's measured in a thing called tokens. So there is a system online. You can simply take a Word document and you can see how many artificial intelligence tokens that relates to. So when Ollie talks about tokens, the tokens could be words, could be pictures, could be all sorts of things. And there is a limit on it, but as he quite rightly says, we've expanded that greatly. I'll be using in a moment in a demonstration a downloaded spreadsheet from the English government. It's UK government, it only applies to England, website where you can look at a spreadsheet for every school and college in England, and it's about 900 lines on this spreadsheet. It's a lot of data. It's every possible thing you can imagine for the last 3 years for your college or your school, and I'm sure most of you are aware of it. We can now upload the whole of one of those spreadsheet documents, and that's a heck of a lot of data, and we can analyze it as well. So we really are getting to the stage now where, as Ollie said, limitations are unlikely to kick in very often. It's still possible. We did have a problem not very long ago when somebody wanted to upload a 60,000, so it wasn't 60,000, that's over the top, 30,000 word dissertation, and at that stage it failed. I haven't retried it. With our new limits, we might even be able to do that. So that's a bit of background. If there's any questions so far that anybody can get into the chat, I'm very happy. I can read the chat, but I can't post to it. But if anybody wants to raise anything on those points, please do so, and my colleagues will make a note of it. Can I say also that I can't post my email address into the system? It's pretty good, pretty easy. It's rgoddard@teachermatic.com. But again, perhaps one of my colleagues could put that into the chat in case anybody wants to contact me. And the reasons for contacting me usually are that I'm the lead architect. My colleague Sam also works with me on building generators, and we work with lots of users. And I'm very, very happy always to hear from people who want a particular generator or want to add something or has an idea. And occasionally we forget them and they go onto our system, and 2 months later we remember that we promised one. I did that the other day from one for the last webinar, and I'm glad to tell that person without naming them that their generator will be ready next week. We are expanding a lot, so that the coverage is widening. There are a couple of areas where we'll still need to do some more widening of the application within various sectors. As you know, we work from early years right up to the higher echelons of HE. We've expanded our levels recently, but we've also expanded across, I think, almost every role within an educational setting. There are 1 or 2 places, careers is one of them, where I'll speak a bit more about this at the end, where we still need to do some development work. But most of the generators I'm going to show you today, just very quickly, relate to leadership and management and quality. But there is one area where Ollie mentioned the feedback generator, and the feedback generator is so popular. I was amazed when I had a look at the stats for the last 2 months. The feedback generator has nearly twice as many uses as any other generator. So we're really looking at a powerful generator, which is going to be even more powerful. And of course, one of the things that will lead to that is the announcement, when was it? 5 days ago, 10th June, 3 days ago, of governmental support for limited, I have to say limited, use of AI in marking and grading. So I'm sure most of you have seen that guidance. We are very clear that our belief is that the feedback generator gives you a good starting point. It doesn't necessarily give you the final answer. It still needs human involvement. So we'll look at that as well in a moment. But what I'm going to do is, if I may share my screen, and we'll look at a few of the share the whole screen. Hopefully this will allow me to show you everything. Could one of my colleagues tell me whether the...
Yes, seeing the screen, Richard.
Thank you very much indeed.
And I'll let you know if the drop downs aren't showing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that as the problem with chat, with Teams, sometimes the sharing just it doesn't work as well as it should do. So sharing my screen, I'm going to go through a few generators to show ones that you may not have seen before. If any of you were at the deep dive that Esam and I ran last Wednesday, I apologise. 4 of the generators I'm going to show were in there, but I think they're important enough to have a look at them. I'm going to enlarge my screen a little so you get a better view. So the first one we're going to look at is the insight generator. And the insight generator has one simple purpose, but it's absolutely multi-use. It takes almost any form of data, input, picture, Word, spreadsheet, PowerPoint, and basically it says, take this data and analyze it for me, and then let me ask questions about the data. So I'm going to use, I've got some files ready for showing this, and I've got one here, which is, this is a spreadsheet. It's a spreadsheet with 2 sheets within it, you know, sheet 1, sheet 2. The first sheet is about SSA, every one of our subject sector areas, sector subject areas, the other way around, and what the retention was, what the achievement was, and various other data. And the second sheet is a sheet on ethnicity and how different ethnic groups compare within our organisation. This is genuine organisation. It's public domain organisation created by a particular, it is a college in this case. And what I'll do is I can actually probably, with a little bit of luck, I can actually show you the document. Let's open it and see if this will share. So there we go. There's a sector subject area, lots of data, as you can see in there, sort of thing that's very easy to look at until you start to try to analyze it. So if I just go back out of that again, that's because I've just shown it. I'll just reload it, sorry. And what I'm going to do now is ask the system to have a look at all that data, tell me a little bit about the data, but also get it ready for use. So it's given me a summary analysis, data related to educational outcomes across sectors, age groups, ethnicities, some key observations, which are quite useful. But the main point of this generator is to allow us to ask questions. So it comes up with a suggestion, 5 suggestions for questions you might like to answer. And one of those, in fact, because I asked it early on, it's remembered it, but I will put it through again, which is which ethnic groups demonstrate a need for targeted help. So let's put that into our box here. And this is where we come across the refine button. So it's taken the data that it's got already, it's suggested some questions, and now it's going to apply this particular question to that data and give us more specific answers. So here we go. Based on the data provided from the uploaded file, the following ethnic groups demonstrate a need. Other black, achievement is relatively low at 78, white, black, Caribbean, 80.4. So it's come up with some ideas of where there might need to be some help. It's also come up with one item which has got 3 stars in front of it. I hope you can see that. And any items marked with 3 stars are not derived or deduced from the original file, but are suggestions. So here it says it would also be beneficial to conduct qualitative research or further data analysis to identify specific challenges, socio-economic barriers, and so on. So there you go. That's the insight generator. And as I said, the insight generator can work on anything. I don't think I'll have anything handy, but I'm just going to go into my pictures file. The picture of Ollie, that's not going to help a lot. Here we go. I've got a picture of a work of art. Let's see if we upload that. I know that's a very silly thing, but if we wanted to, we could ask it to generate analysis of that picture. Which there we are. So it tells us what's in there. It says, it asks, oh, it's recognized the picture. It's called Revolve, which is actually a work by an artist called Sandra Blow, who worked in St Ives for many years from the 1960s to the 1990s, no, to the 2000s. So we could ask questions about that. So it doesn't have to be data, but clearly the main purpose of the insight generator is to look at data that you already have. And you could, of course, use data. I mentioned earlier on the downloadable data from the government website, the comparison of colleges and schools website. So you could use that. I'm actually going to use one of those files, however, a little later on another generator. So that's the insight generator. Let's move to the one where I'm going to use the government data itself. This is our self-assessment advisor. I noticed that Brian from North Warwick and South Leicestershire has joined us today, and I'd like to thank her in particular, and also people from South Staffs and lots more who have helped over the months with ideas for generators, and this one came from some of them in particular. Look, they said, we have to update, we have all this data and we have to create a self-assessment report, or in the case of a school, a self-assessment, a self-evaluation form. We've got to do all that work and there's an awful lot of time spent on it. Could you help us? And we said, we can help you. We can't create the full self-assessment report because each organization is going to have its own requirements, its own set out, maybe its own template for the report, but we can give you content for the report so that you've got something to start from. So in this case, because the location is England, we allow different locations to be chosen, because if a self-assessment report is being, or self-evaluation form is being built for, let's say, an ESTIN inspection in Wales, we will know the sort of format you're expecting. We can adapt the output to that. In this case, I'm going to leave it at England because the file I'm going to upload in this case, I'll have to go back to the right place, apologies. The file I'm going to upload in this case is one of these files, which in fact, I should actually show you what it looks like because it's quite scary. Hopefully you can see that. That's the file it's looking at. That's downloaded direct from a government website. I have anonymized it. This is a real college's data, but I've taken out the references to the college, so we shouldn't find out exactly where it's from. But I'll go into this upload again and upload that file. So as you can see, it takes a little while. You've noticed that was a bit slower to upload that file. I'm going to say I won't take a set of action points in this case, and I'm going to do a generation. Let's have a look and see what. Actually, I might take some action points. So I apologise now. We're going to have a dead moment. It's a relief from me talking. I'll have a glass of water and it does the work. So here we go. It's the beginning of a self-assessment report. This section of the self-assessment report, it's a section, evaluates the performance of Flaxborough College in support. Flaxborough College is a made-up college, by the way. For any of you who are fans of detective fiction, you'll remember the Flaxborough Chronicles by Colin Watson. Highly recommended. It talks about where the data came from and the academic years, the summary of key findings. 71% of learners successfully transitioned into sustained educational employment. We've got some information about overall learning destinies, where the learners, level 3, level 2 learners, entry-level learners, apprenticeships, how we did on apprenticeships. 112 learners were supported into sustained apprenticeships. We've got areas where we can develop things by reducing the progression gap between disadvantaged and non-disadvantaged learners, particularly levels 2 and 3, and there are conclusions. I hope that that's a good starting point for anybody creating a self-assessment report. You can, of course, use any other data you want to, and we could go back to that achievement and retention data that we had earlier and generate from that instead. Once you've got your self-assessment report, you might want a set of action points within it, which will be just a very brief section. Let's have a look and see what this comes up with. Okay. So here we have SSAs and ethnicity reporting, and it's given us some action points. However, if I close that generator and move on to the next one, which is the improvement plan, This can be a better way of creating a self-assessment report, an improvement plan based on a self-assessment report. In this case, I'm going to go back onto, this is one I created earlier. This is a document from a college. I created it ready rather than wait for it to do it again. But we've got a self-assessment report created on the same further education college, and let's generate that and see what we come up with, a more detailed improvement plan. Again, apologies for the silence. I could have got my melodeon out and played a tune, but Peter would probably have objected.
I would love to hear that, Richard.
For those of you who don't know, Peter's son, Cohen, is one of this country's greatest melodeon and concertina players. Very, very much admired, and I strongly recommend you go and look for him on YouTube afterwards. Here's our improvement plan, folks. Improvement plan and performance analysis. So it's taken, in this case, social sciences. This is from the SSAs. You remember we had that information. Achievement rates are significantly below average, so it's compared them with national averages, and it's come up with a plan. So for each of our areas, it's come up with where we are and where we should be and how we might get there. It's also suggested how the plans will address underperforming areas, how similar reports might have helped other people, so to encourage, and there's the encouragement to the staff and learners about being proud in this case of where they work and learn. And then we have prioritized action points. So there we go. So there is the beginning of what is known in some areas as a QIP, QIP, the Quality Improvement Plan, but of course there are other terms for it. We're going to enhance this one to give much more detail. It's on my list of jobs for next week. It's fairly detailed already, but it can be much more detailed, and we can go into that. And out of interest, here's the refine button, which I was mentioning earlier on. So we might say this section here is perhaps not needed. So let's actually say remove the section about how other inspections. So we refine the report, and perhaps we won't wait for it to do it. But basically what that will do is then take exactly the same report, give you exactly the same information, but hopefully, fingers crossed as always, without the little bit of information about that particular area. And if it doesn't do it very quickly, I'll jump on. There we go. That section has now only got 2 parts in it instead of 3. I notice instill pride is spelt in an American way, so I'll have to see into that. We do ask for results to be done in British English. Occasionally it fails. I'm not monitoring the chat, so I'm just going to quickly go back in to see if I can see any chat that's coming up that I need to answer quickly.
There's a question, Richard.
Yeah.
We work with multiple data files to the SCR, but the generator only allows 1 file per run. Is there a way to work around this limitation?
It will be by next Friday.
Fantastic.
There will be a limit because it still goes back to what we were talking about earlier on, our token limit. At the moment, my aim is to make 4 uploaded files possible. More than 4, I think we may struggle with, but up to 4 should be okay. That wouldn't include, by the way, though, that the one I showed, which was downloaded from the government website, the comparison website, which actually pretty much fills our current token limit. It is a huge file, but something like the retention and ethnicity and so on, yeah, no problem at all. I think local information for spreadsheets, even if they're multi-sheet spreadsheets, should be fine.
Okay, other comments, just lots of comments of congratulations, Richard, and I would add to those on how fabulous these new generators are.
Yeah, those ones are pretty good, aren't they? I'm pleased with those. Now, look, the time is getting on, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we're better move on to the next slide.
Right. Can you give me 10 seconds just to
mention?
Of course
I can, yes. Yeah.
Other generators that are recent and going down well. Internal quality assurance, IQAs, very important for many people and really time consuming. The IQA generator is really getting a lot of use. Change management, that's going well. State of the nation speech generator, for those of you in a situation where you've got to give a speech based on a report like we've just seen, that will do a lot of the job for you. Dealing with complaints, dealing with grievances and whistleblowing. There's a new urgent assembly planner where you need to get a group of people together, learners, where something has happened, where you need to deal with that. That's quite a nice one. The staff induction, and I just wanted to mention, lastly, the apprenticeship progress tracker. Ruth Cole at User and Kiwi has been helping us with that. We need more help with that one. The apprentice progress tracker is out there and usable, or definitely needs some more work on it. So if any of you involved with apprenticeships, please have a look at it and get back to me and we'll work together on improving it. Thank you very much, everybody. Sorry to
thank you so much, Richard, and just some, I think you'll all agree, some amazing new generators. Since the deep dive Richard Neeson did last week, we've had an awful lot of very positive feedback. So please let your senior leaders know about these and see what TeacherMatic can do. I'm going to now ask Colin and Munganini to join us, and from WorldSkills UK, and Richard, I think, is also joining with this one. And Luke, I'll answer that in the chat. Cheers, then.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So yes, I'm Colin Gallagher. I'm the Quality and Standards Manager at WorldSkills UK. Joining me to talk through sort of how we've created some bespoke generators is Bongeni Jure, who's our project coordinator, and sort of the genius behind them is obviously Richard, to sort of give a bit more of an insight into more of the back process for that. Some of you may have heard of WorldSkills UK before, some of you may not have. So just a quick overview of who we are. So we are sort of the UK arm of International Skills as part of a bigger organisation of 84 other countries called WorldSkills. We're most known for people who know us around for competitions, but we've started engaging in sort of what happens in that local area, sort of what's happening in the classrooms and the workshops, in the training environments, to help raise standards, bring that international insights in, and as that slide says, making world-class skills development accessible for all. We're four nation partnerships. We work across the whole of the United Kingdom, as well as governments, education and employers. So we're here today to talk about work we've been working on with sort of TeacherMatic over the last 18 months on sort of some special generators that we've created for some of the work that we do. I'll hand over to Bongeni, who's going to take you through sort of our process.
Thank you. Yeah, so like Colin said, we've been literally working with TeacherMatic for the past 18 months. And essentially, when we first went on to TeacherMatic and we just saw some of the generators, we were literally so impressed by what they could do. And then we started thinking of how we could use them. But we had two things that we wanted to do. Ideally, we wanted to focus on competition content creation and also benchmarking resources creation. So how we used to do it when we first got into TeacherMatic, looking at what all the generators, we actually had to use 3 generators just to get something that was somewhat in line with what we were looking for. And the 3 in question was the assignment generator. We also had to use the learning objective generator, and then we also wanted to have within our content a rubric, so where we could essentially show the marking scheme. And so we'd also need to use the rubric generator. So as you can imagine, having to go through 3 generators just to get one outcome was somewhat a bit tedious. And even then, it wasn't exactly to what we wanted. And so we then basically thought to ourselves, would it be possible to actually create a custom generator for what were more in line with our needs and our requirements. And that literally took us to reaching out to TeacherMatic and actually speaking with Richard and seeing if all of our crazy ideas could actually be put into something that was coherent and achievable. And that's where Richard, with his amazing talent and expertise, was able to guide us through to kind of say, okay, from what you've described, this is what we can do. And it was, again, a great collaboration in just basically getting the refinement aspect into how we can create the generators. And Richard will be able to tell you much better than I can the actual process of what went behind the actual creating of the generators that we wanted.
Thanks, Bongani. Well, the first thing that went into it was working with nice people. It actually, it's good when you get a bunch of people together, as we became, I think, and probably still are, who just get on very well and can speak to each other and understand the needs. So Colin Bongani can understand what I need, and I hopefully can usually understand what they need. There are times, of course, when we both fail. I was looking back over the process. We started the process, I think, in August last year, of just when you guys had already looked at the various generators, and even using those, you found that there were some things that just couldn't happen. And you came along and you said, look, this is what we want. And there were emails back and forth, and we had Teams or Google Meet meetings, and we gradually whittled down two things. What is the list of information that the generator can ask for, and what is the required result? We worked on the information that you your colleagues as competition setters are able to give the generator, and we looked at what the output will be. Sometimes there are strange little things, quirks, that are very difficult to deal with when you're building an AI prompt. The AI prompt, the artificial intelligence prompt, the command that goes to artificial intelligence, in the case of the competitions generator, I counted up earlier on, there's 250 words in it, roughly. It's a long piece of text that essentially says, hey, Mr. AI, I want you to do this, 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 and while you're doing this, I want you to take account of that, and take account of that. One of the bits of fun and games we had was there's when you're setting how to make judgments about how well a learner has achieved within each of the competitions, there's a set of things they might want to have, they might have to achieve. Some of those can be measured absolutely. So, for example, let's say you're working in patisserie and they're asked to make an 8-inch tart. Then that's fairly easy because you can measure whether it's 8 inches or not. So that the size of that result could be an M for measurement. However, if what they're supposed to do is make a tasty 8-inch tart, then there's a judgment, isn't there? Is that tasty enough? Is it sweet enough? Have they used the right sort of mixture of egg and sugar, or whatever one does when making these things? And that proved to be quite a difficult process. We took some while to get that right. And I think I'm right in saying, guys, we still only managed to get it in the last column, and you wanted it in the second column, and we had to compromise. Sometimes that sort of thing happens. So August, the first emails and the first exchange of meetings took place. In September, I'd created prototypes, first of all for the competition generator, and secondly for the benchmarking generator, and then I gave you access to them. At some stage before this, by the way, I should mention this, and Peter will be able to come in this perhaps just at the end and say, there was a process where I had to estimate, and it's a very difficult thing to do, how long the process would take. And Peter then went back to Colin Bongani with a quotation for the amount of time we'd need to spend on it, and that had to be agreed. I don't get involved in that process. I'm glad to say I'm not a money man at all. But perhaps Peter could tell us a bit about that later on. once we got the drafts completed and they were tested, I think I'm right in saying, Colin Bongetti, we went live in October last year using them. Does that sound right to you?
Yes. Yeah, so that was the first version of it as we went into sort of that first testing.
And then gradually other little quirks would come around. I noticed at one stage there were a couple of minor amendments needed to change the layout. At one stage, I think the AI engine itself changed and it affected the output slightly, which we had to fix. And I don't think we've made any major changes recently, except that Colin asked, or Bungany asked about a month ago, probably a bit more than that, of whether we could add a new area called scenarios into the benchmarking. And at the moment, that's still an ongoing task, which we're getting there, but we've still got some work on it to do. So a bespoke process is not always start, do it, finish. It has to be ongoing, and we've got another generator that we're looking at together at the moment where work is just about to begin. Many of our bespoke generators relate to particularly schemes of work and lesson plans, and they're to do with the layout. So a particular college will want their particular layout, and that's something which is rather easier to do because we can say, we can take our current information, lay it out differently, and when we get to the end of that, we can say, is that okay? And if it is, then everybody's happy. With something like the WorldSkills work, there are bound to be changes because these guys keep coming up with new ideas apart from anything else. But it's been a great learning process. It's certainly the most complex of the bespoke generators we've worked on. And I'd just like to say thank you because it's been great to do it. That's my lot.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you very much.
Hold on. There's a little bit more to come, I think.
Oh no, that's okay. But I know that because we're stressed for time. It's just essentially it was just what we actually were able to create in the end. So essentially taking the 3 strengths from the previous generators I mentioned, which is the assessment generator, rubric builder, and the learning objective generator. Our generators, which are both the competitions generator and the benchmarking generator, I would say like the essential takeaways for us was basically just like the ability to upload, which was like embedding the National Standards of Excellence documentation, where every piece of work that we generate, it was using that as a scaffolding, which we thought was really incredible. And again, because we had extra tools added, like with the complexity levels, the learning needs, also putting in the assessment durations. So all of those things, again, it helped us to essentially create as close as possible as what we were trying to achieve. And so again, it was just a testament to Richard being able to take what we had said and then translate that into the generators. Similar with the competition generators, somewhat similar to the benchmarking, but it had additional features in it where, again, one of them was just being able to actually have the tasks, and we can also put how many tasks and then the duration of the tasks as well. So again, because those are just more elements which we thought was quite helpful and insightful to be able to narrow down exactly what we wanted to do. And I'll just give the last slide to Colin and he'll finish it up for us.
Yes, so obviously, sort of the big bit, obviously the impact this has had for us, where it has saved us sort of huge amounts of time, just using sort of the statistics that comes through sort of in your TeacherMatic account. So you can see sort of what that's looked like for the amount of generations we've done and the time that we've saved. And the big bit of this is sort of where this fits sort of with the program that we're working on. So this, all the resources, after we've generated them, we get our subject matter experts to do that hand finishing, sort of tidy them up, get them to where they are, so they're not the final product that we produce within the TeacherMatic. We get our subject matter experts, and they could be part of our extended networks. We've worked with quite a few colleges on our local skills competitions as well, where we've supported them in generating the competition content, and they finalised it and then ran it. This year, we've had over 5,000 learners who've taken part across the whole country as part of our local skills competition endorsement framework for that. And our resources, we're busy sort of working on some new resources which are going into the Learning Lab. So obviously there's a QR code you can scan. The big bit of this is for WorldSkills UK. Everything we do is free. So if you want to go and have a look and access the Learning Lab, look at the resources, get in touch with us about the local skills competition. Everything we do is free. And obviously there is our email address, learninglab@worldskillsuk.org, if you have any questions for us. Thank you very much for your time. Any questions, it'd be great. If not, we can pick them up at the end of the webinar, because I know we're pushed for time.
Thank you so much, Colin, Bongini and Richard. I hope you all found that really interesting, and if any of you are interested in having bespoke generators built for your organisation, for our colleges, schools and universities, often we do things around schemes of work and lesson plans, if you've got particularly ones there. But you know, Richard, as you probably all begin to realise, is a genuine bona fide genius, and is quite capable of building generators to do pretty much anything. So do contact me if that is something that you are interested in. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to Wendy Coley from Capital City College, who is going to talk about TeacherMatic at their college. So off you go.
Thanks very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me, and in a minute you should be able to see my presentation. Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. It should just be appearing in a second.
Yeah, it's there, Wendy. So
thanks, everyone. That's great. Okay, so this is a quick story on how we're getting on with TeacherMatic in Capital City College. So here we go. So the headlines: we have 269 active licenses and currently 267 users as of now. And the top generators so far have been, funny enough, presentations, quizzes, feedback, worksheets, and more recently schemes of work. So we can see, you can see trends when you look at your dashboard, and we could see that schemes of work were being generated in August of last year, and now again this year, ready for the new academic year. So that's quite interesting, seeing sort of, you know, the months and what's the sort of the most popular regarding some of these generators. So far we've had 1,611 presentations generated by educators at Capital City College. 484 multiple choice questions have been generated, which has been brilliant. And 383 pieces of feedback, and I think that is something that's really started to grow, and the same with the presentations as well. I think those resources have really improved over time, and we can see that when we're using them. And 244 worksheets. This is one of my favourite generators, actually. I really like the worksheets generator. And here's the schemes of work, 72 schemes of work and counting. I literally had a request for 2 licenses, one last week and one this week. So people are still really keen to use it, especially for this time of year. So some hints and tips if you're new to TeacherMatic and being an admin. We find downloading the Excel data of users is really helpful from the dashboard that you have, and then we filter by the last access dates. If we can see for a whole term somebody hasn't accessed it, then we send around an email saying, would you like more training? Do you want to explore the video guides? And I've made video guides for all of the sort of main generators that staff have been using in the college. And then if somebody doesn't want to use a license anymore, we've said to them, do you want to donate your license to a colleague? Because we have had staff in a waiting list for a TeacherMatic license. So this has really helped us save on licenses and not have licenses just sitting there being wasted. So I think that's been really helpful, sending these emails out roughly once a term, sometimes a bit more frequently if we have people on a waiting list. And then CPD, so what do we do for CPD? We've been running, at the beginning in term 1, we ran weekly TeacherMatic sessions. These would be live, they wouldn't be recorded. What we would do is do a demo, and then I would actually stay online and then wait for people to have a go in the background, and then they would then share what they've made, or if they're having a problem they could share their screen. So this was really like an online sort of workshop where people could just have a go, experiment and have support with troubleshooting, and that's been, I think, quite helpful for people when they're new to using TeacherMatic. And then instead of recording those sessions, instead I will then make small micro learning videos based on the generator. So the videos are between 1 minute long and 11 minutes long for the introduction on how to log in right from the start. We've also had TeacherMatic on site for our PD days, our professional development days, and that's been really helpful as well. And again, yep, just providing that online support for collaboration has also been very helpful, and staff that have been using one will then come back to the next session to see how to use a different generator as well, because obviously everyone is very tight for time and they don't always have that time that they really want to explore and experiment by themselves. So having a bit of support there, I think, has been quite helpful. So here is some feedback from staff. So these are teachers and assessors that have been using TeacherMatic. So I'll let you read that. And then this is the example of some work that a teacher generated in the session and shared. So this really was a self-reflection rubric. So for GCSE maths resitters, it was about, you know, how do they manage their learning, how do they approach problem solving, and it was really nice for the teacher then to share this with their learners, so that the students could self-reflect and say where they think they are, and then the teacher can think about ways of then improving that in their sessions. So the rubric's been really nice. It's not just for assessment, although very useful. So that's it for me. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Wendy, and
You're welcome.
well within time, which is always appreciated. I just say, any questions? I mean, it's great to see how well you're getting on, and I like the model you've got for using your licenses efficiently. Though we'd always be delighted if you were to purchase some more. So Patrick there, I led a great session with our development team by using the nursery rhyme Jack and Jill went up a hill and developing a risk assessment and action evaluation report on how to improve the outcomes. That's brilliant. So yes, I think I hope you'll all steal that one. That's such a funny one. I like that, Patrick. Thanks very much. Okay, any final questions for Wendy before we move on? Okay, so I will now hand over to my colleague Sam, who's going to talk about some training and rollout strategies that he's been incredibly busy on these last. He's been working 7-day weeks up till 10 o'clock at night these last few weeks. Your dedication is so profound. Sam, off you go.
All right, thank you very much, Peter, and hello everyone, and thank you so much for being part of this wonderful TeacherMatic community. We really appreciate you and your continued support. So today I'm really excited to share two big developments with you: the launch of our Getting Started with TeacherMatic course and the new rollout guide strategy for organizations, and both are designed to support you in embedding TeacherMatic in your teaching or organization. And as Peter has rightly said, I have been working very hard, especially on the course. I started it at the end of January. So I really do hope that, you know, you take a lot out of it. So let's start by looking at this new self-paced course called Getting Started with TeacherMatic. So it's designed for busy teachers who are new to the platform, but also includes deeper dives or deeper tips for intermediate and advanced users. It's suitable for anyone in a teaching, training or support role, whether you're aiming to, you know, get up to speed quickly, refresh your knowledge or help others adopt the platform. This course will guide you through every feature. It combines hands-on practice with pedagogical insights, giving you confidence to use TeacherMatic in your everyday use. So, So the course is broken into 12 modules covering everything from what is TeacherMatic, logging in and generating resources using our key generators like the lesson plan, the multiple choice quiz that allows you then to export to Forms, Google Forms and Kahoot. It also includes, and I think very important to include this, ethical guidance, fact-checking tips, and time-saving strategies. So each module includes a short quiz to check your understanding, and you'll need to achieve a minimum of 70% pass rate overall to earn your certificate. So the quizzes can be retaken as many times as needed, so you're free to learn at your own pace. So whether you are in the classroom or a digital lead, this course will empower you to get the most out of TeacherMatic. It's ideal for CPD, onboarding new staff, or refreshing existing skills. And there's a strong focus on teaching strategies throughout the modules. So I've tried to relay my 20 years of experience in the classroom in this course. So you're going to really benefit from practical ideas that you can apply straight away. Alongside the course, we're also releasing a detailed rollout strategy guide. And this is for organizations that want to implement TeacherMatic across their teams in a structured and impactful way. It draws on best practice from successful rollouts and provides practical tools and timelines. And this is only the first iteration of the guide, and it's shaped by feedback we've already received. So we would love to hear from you, and any feedback that we receive will help us continue improving this rollout guide. So rather than leaving adoption to chance, this guide provides a roadmap. It identifies who should be involved, what support they might need, and how to structure the rollout across different departments. We use the ADKAR model to structure this rollout approach. It's a simple but very powerful change management strategy, focusing on both the individual and organizational journey through change. The strategy guide maps directly into each of this ADKAR model. And ADKAR essentially it's an acronym that stands for awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. And with regards to awareness, this essentially is, we need to communicate the reason for change. So in the guide itself, it includes suggestions on how to raise awareness effectively, showcasing the key pain points that TeacherMatic addresses. So it also suggests you as an organization launching events, CPD sessions to introduce the platform and share success stories to build interest and visibility. So that's the first stage of this ADKAR model. The second is desire. And essentially what you're doing here is you're really trying to communicate to teachers and educators why they should change. So it's that intrinsic motivation. So we provided ideas for engaging staff and involving them, and trying to change some of their old habits into, using TeacherMatic to reduce their workload and improve teaching, learning, and assessment. So it's all about that intrinsic motivation, which is the desire. The knowledge is, of course, the main part of this knowledge is the training that we provide. But now that we've developed this getting started with TeacherMatic, we hope that you will be able to embed it and allocate time to your staff to complete this course. So it is about two and a half hours, but it's not just about the tools. It's also about the pedagogy behind some of our generators. So once your staff are now equipped with the knowledge on how to use TeacherMatic, the ability is to apply that knowledge into the classroom. And that's where ability is. How do you implement those skills and change that behavior? And of course, like any change, it needs to be reinforced all the time. So we suggest strategies in this guide to embed long-term usage, such as termly reviews, recognition, and peer sharing. So this framework ensures that this rollout is not just a one-off initiative, but a sustainable change with impact across teaching, learning, and operations. Now, depending on how successful and this rollout guide is, and the getting started with TeacherMatic in the medium term, we'll also be looking at creating courses for the different roles within an organization, because as you'll know now, that we've created many generators for non-teaching roles. So we'll look into developing even more courses and CPD for those type of roles. So the Getting Started with TeacherMatic course is designed for a broad audience in mind, but obviously it's primarily focused on teaching, learning, assessment, and pedagogy. So it's ideal for educators to build their confidence using the platform. The rollout guide is, however, is more targeted towards institutional roles. So particularly like roles like digital learning leads, CPD coordinators, quality and curriculum managers, and SLT and strategic planners. So important, where do we access this? And I will copy this, but there's a QR code in here. So let's see what the course looks like once we actually put this address, which I'm going to share in the chat pane with you. And if you click on that, please, you'll be able to go to the sign up page. So let's do that now. And when you click on that link, this page will appear. And what you'll need to do for the very first time is you'll need to register here and go through that process. Once you've registered, you'll get an email, and then you'll be able to access this course using the Avalane Magnet platform. And this is where you'll be able to access, of course, the course and the rollout guide. And the rollout guide will be available as a PDF, a downloadable PDF, by the way, a PowerPoint presentation, and an ebook format, right? And of course, we will be sending out more information to everyone about signing up to this course. But as I said, once you click on that link, you'll go to the register and complete the course. Once you've done that, this is what the course will look like. So when you're in there, let me just go to my courses. You won't see all of these courses, but you will see these two here. The Getting Started with TeacherMatic and the Rollout Guide. So if you click on Getting Started with TeacherMatic, we've got a welcome and course overview. But just to let you know that the rest of these modules are actual videos. So if I click on what is TeacherMatic here and click on what is TeacherMatic, you'll learn about what TeacherMatic is. I'm sure at this stage you already know what TeacherMatic is. We'll click on play just to give you an idea of what these courses look like. Right, actually a better one might be to look at some of the generators here. So if I scroll down, you'll see key generator walkthroughs. And I'm going to click on one that I think is particularly useful, which is the additional options. And the additional options is a new functionality that we've rolled out in many of the generators, where it allows you to contextualize and personalize the outputs. And once you master how to use the additional options, then you'll be quite confident in using the additional options in our other generators. So if I click on additional options, the additional options in the lesson plan are the longest videos. So I do apologize for that, but there was a lot to relay in there. So this is, I think, one of the longest videos. It's 20 minutes, but the others are much shorter. So here's a glimpse into what the module looks like. Hi and welcome. In this video, we're going to explore one of the most powerful and flexible features in TeacherMatic. Give me a thumbs up, Peter, if you can hear the sound. Options panel. The purpose of TeacherMatic's additional options panel is to make it easier to create inclusive, well-aligned and meaningful teaching resources. You get the idea. And then if I click on next, then you'll have this quiz that then you can complete. As I said, you'll need to get 70% correct in all the quizzes in order for you to be certified. So there is certification as part of this course. So I'm just going to exit that. So hopefully that's going to be something that you're going to find very beneficial. This is the rollout guide. As soon as you register for the course, you will also see this rollout guide. And as I said, you have it in 3 different formats: an ebook, PDF, and PowerPoint. And just to reiterate that this is our first iteration of the rollout guide, and we will be improving it over time based on the feedback that we've received from everyone. So, right, and and that's really it. I'm really excited about that. Do let us know. And by the way, just one more thing. At the end of the course, there is a feedback form. So we would really appreciate you giving us feedback about the course so we can just continuously improve the course. So please, when you do get to the end of the course, do complete that feedback form. Just to let you know, I'm not sure if Peter has already mentioned this, we do have a TeacherMatic survey, and it's really my final request. I promise you, we'd really appreciate it if you take a moment to complete this survey. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to us, and it's what drives, you know, our platform forward. Everything we do, from improving our generators to developing new features, is shaped by what you tell us. So completing this survey is going to help us, you know, make TeacherMatic even more impactful for you and your colleagues. It only takes a few minutes, and you'll be entered into a prize draw if you complete it before June the 20th. I will also share that link with you in the chat pane. And on that note, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sam. We've got one question, and to be honest, I'm not sure what the answer is to it. Is the course free? Well, yes, it's free. Can anyone gain access, or must one go through organisation with a licence? So is this open to non-customers, I guess, is what Natalie is asking there. I can't see why not, but...
I think at this point it hasn't been restricted to anyone as long as you go and register on that link. So there won't be some type of barrier. I
don't think there's any reason why we'd want to restrict it to, you know, that if somebody isn't a customer, this might make them more likely to want to become a customer. So as far as I know, Natalie, yes, email me if you try and you find you can't get on, and I will look into that for you. Okay, Sam, thank you so much. And I hope you'll all agree these are 2 incredibly powerful, exciting new resources that will be useful to you all in you know, building up your staff skills, in helping you roll out TeacherMatic and engage across the whole organisation in using it. And you know, we want to do all that we can to support you. Okay, now I'm very pleased that Sam has finished ahead of time, because this allows me to do something that's not on the agenda. And you'll see why it's not on the agenda at the moment. And I do hope he's still in the room. But something both kind of sad and happy is happening at the end of the month, which is our colleague, Dr. Geoff Elliott, the handsome chap there you can see on the right, is retiring. And, you know, this was his... well, I put sort of, because while he is retiring, we are going to keep him around for the odd small project every now and again, so he will still have a little bit of involvement. But Geoff will be sauntering off into the sunset in his camper van with his wife Tracy, and they've got all sorts of fun activities planned over the next year, I think including a 2-month trip to Canada. And you know, just a little bit of history. This looks like the worst boy band ever, but this is actually the 4 founders, Geoff, Esam, Ollie and myself, of TeacherMatic. We came up with this idea 3 years ago, and if it wasn't for Geoff, I can say 100% certain we would not be here in this Teams room now. That Geoff brought so much to the table, and in particular, getting us started, that Geoff is the most amazing bid writer, and TeacherMatic started with a UFI bid. This is very hard to succeed in UFI bids, but we came up with this idea between us. Geoff wrote a fabulous bid, and that got us £50,000 worth of funding, which gave us the capacity to do that initial work to do TeacherMatic. So, you know, very much if it wasn't for that and all the things that Geoff has contributed since, we would not be here. Geoff is very much the action man of the TeacherMatic team, and this is Geoff thinks nothing about going in the sea in the middle of the winter and doing 20-mile walks up mountains amongst the snow and things like that. So he's going to be doing an awful lot more about that. And I'm kind of welling up a bit now because I've worked with Geoff for many, many years, and it's going to be really strange not sort of speaking to him on an almost daily basis. And I just wanted to put one slightly silly picture. This is one of my favourite pictures of me and Geoff. Something that we've done in the past is we're both camper van users, and in a previous project we worked on, we would meet every few months in our camper vans halfway between where we lived, have a couple of days away and work on submissions and development plans, etc., and go out for nice walks. And this was a very hot sunny day. I think it was in a canal in Brecon that me and Geoff are out for one of those walks. So could I just ask for a big sort of TeacherMatic round of applause for Geoff and for everything he's done for us. I hope you're not to embarrass Geoff there. Thank you, everybody, and nice comment from me, Sam, there. Geoff, I hope, I'm not even certain you're still in the room. I hope you're in the room. If you are, I'm sure you're blushing profusely. And we're still ahead of schedule, so I will now hand over to Reza for the final slot.
Thank you, Peter. I'm not quite sure how to follow that, to be honest. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm hoping that everybody can see my screen. If you could confirm that, Peter, that would be great. You should see a slide on regional TeacherMatic meetups. Thank you for your time today. It's great to see some familiar faces, sorry, some familiar names even on the call as well. I just wanted to take up a little bit of your time this afternoon just to demonstrate the fact that we've changed things up slightly since the start of the calendar year, and we're doing a couple of our events, in inverted commas, slightly differently. So as this slide suggests, is that we've started this campaign, which was called Regional TeacherMatic Meetups. And to give you a little bit more context to this, I just wanted to share this with you to see whether it's, of course, something that is of interest to yourselves as well. So what's been happening is that we're co-hosting effectively these regional AI events locally at various different customer sites. What this presents is the opportunity to bring together educators and leaders or other types of roles into one space where we can talk about the impact and opportunity that AI presents and how it can effectively enable us to work smarter and not harder. But also, we're very flexible in the way that this can work. So the ones that we've done so far, we've been able to be super adaptive, super responsive to what's going to work locally and best for the customers that have participated in it. So it can be quite informal, but ultimately it's about the collaborative approach that we want to assign. The reasons why we wanted to sort of take this approach are based on the fact that we want to build upon and maintain the relationships that we've got with our community already. We pride ourselves on that and we strive on that aspect as well. But equally, we wanted to support our valued partners with regards to showcasing their leadership approach when it comes to the use and application of AI locally within their region as well. But equally, if we think about it sort of wider and outside the box about this slightly further as well, is that it's about widening impact. So if you think about that from a feeder perspective, it's giving opportunity to invite local schools on board, but equally, if you're a university, it's giving the opportunity to bring your local regional college partners on board as well to host these events and position, like I say, everything that I've mentioned already as well. But ultimately, I think the key takeaway message here is that there is scope to have a super flexible format for this. And what we want to do is try and build upon the strengths that you have locally, but equally the strengths that we have with regards to having capacity to research AI, and then of course deliver the platform that we have today, which is TeacherMatic. And just to give you some more contextual examples of where this has had impact so far, I just wanted to share with you a couple of case studies. So I guess a big shout out to North Warwickshire and South Leicestershire College. Naturally, they're split across multiple sites. But I was really grateful from their senior leadership team, where when we initially pitched this idea to them, they were very open and forthcoming with regards to seeing the opportunity that this could present. So as this slide suggests, we had a slight different approach to this because of the nature of the event that they wanted to run, and then they were also hosting as well. So this was had a very niche focus with regards to career services. So what the college had done, they'd taken responsibility with regards to campaigning this and sending out the invites to all the local schools within the region. And what we did was support them with regards to sponsoring that event and being present to discuss what AI is, what it can do, but equally how it fits into the careers agenda as well. Now, there's mutual benefits, as I've alluded to already, from that point of view as well. And you can see that within the two columns with regards to how that was a huge positive for the college in the one column, and then of course how that helps TeacherMatic and helps us grow and work with our community as well. Another example that I wanted to share with you, again, a big shout out and a big thank you to Coventry College. Again, we took the exact same approach by where we initiated a discussion about the opportunities that we could sort of collaborate on this. And again, a slight different example, just to elaborate on how we are willing to be super flexible with this approach, was that they have a very impressive innovation centre on site. And the difference here was that not only did they invite local schools, but they decided to also invite local employers as well. And that's kind of where we start to reap the benefits of beyond just the technology, beyond just the artificial intelligence discussions and debates that might be taking place, because you're bridging and you triangulate those relationships just by sheer coincidence of how you're hosting this event as well. And again, I've tried to summarize some of the key benefits and impact that it had for both the college, but equally for us as TeacherMatic as well. So the reason why I wanted to take this very short, brief sort of window of opportunity to raise this to everybody who's in attendance today is effectively the call to action here is that if anything of what I've said has piqued your interest, or you thought, oh, actually, that would be a really great opportunity for us as a college, university or school, then please do reach out. My information is on the screen at the moment, so reza@teachermatic.com. But effectively, we are actively seeking out any new opportunities around this partnership approach. And as I've sort of said, slightly tongue-in-cheek there, we'll even support a little bit more of a catering budget for this as well. So again, we did that with the colleges that we've discussed, and I can share with you that it went down really, really well. So the pastries that we bring along can be really, really nice. So if nothing else, let's do it for that reason. But like I say, if you see there being an opportunity, then it's an open invitation. Please do reach out to me via the email that's on the screen. We'd love to be able to collaborate with you from this point forward to extend your outreach programs that you have with either schools or colleges, or with any of your partners, whether they be local employers or other. But effectively, that's all I wanted to share with you today. Happy to take any questions that might exist within the chat pane. I haven't checked yet. But otherwise, that's me done, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reza. I'm not seeing any questions so far. If anyone's got any questions, please type them in. But I hope you'll all consider holding one of these events at your organisations. You know, they're great for yourselves, for you know, promoting the work that you're doing with AI, and for engaging with your partner schools and universities and colleges in your local area. So please, if you're interested in that, contact Reza or myself. Okay, well, Stunningly, we finished very early. I think that's largely down to Isan, who was super quick on his presentation, and Reza was pretty quick there as well. So we have finished quite ahead of time. So what we like to do at the end of these meetings is open up the microphones and the cameras to everyone.